The invisible architecture of every conversation, meeting, and relationship. You have, in 2018, a mid-sized company redesigned their office. The brief: break down silos, encourage collaboration, create energy. They removed partition walls, installed long communal tables, and created a fully open plan layout. The leadership team were excited. The employees walked in on Monday morning and went very quiet. Within 3 months, face-to-face interaction between team members had fallen by 70%. Email and messaging volume had increased by 50%. The team supposed to collaborate more was collaborating less. And nearly everyone reported feeling more exhausted at the end of the day without being able to explain why. This is the finding of a landmark study by researchers Ethan Bernstein and Stephen Turbin, published in the Philosophical Transactions of the Royal Society. They tracked actual human interaction patterns before and after open plan redesigns using electronic sensors. The data was unambiguous. When you remove boundaries between people without understanding the invisible rules that govern how humans use space, you do not get more connection. You get withdrawal. People retreat into headphones and digital messages to recreate the privacy their physical environment has taken away. That phenomenon has a name: Proxemics, the study of how space shapes behavior, communication, and relationship. And once you understand it, you will never design a meeting, arrange a room, or think about a video call the same way again. Welcome back to The Catalyst. This is episode 9. Today we are exploring something operating in every professional interaction you have, usually without your awareness: the invisible architecture of space. How the environments around us shape what we communicate, how we relate, and who holds power in any given room. The study of Proxemics was founded by cultural anthropologist Edward T. Hall, who coined the term in 1963. Hall's fundamental insight: space is not neutral. Every human being carries around them a series of invisible spatial zones whose size, meaning, and social function varies by culture, relationship, and context. These zones are not consciously negotiated. They are deeply ingrained, largely automatic, and when violated, we respond with discomfort, withdrawal, or anxiety, often without being able to articulate why. Hall identified 4 distinct zones. The intimate zone, 0 to 45 centimeters. Complete trust. Touch, whisper, physical comfort. In professional settings, this zone is almost never entered voluntarily. When it is breached accidentally, the amygdala fires a mild threat response. The personal zone, 45 centimeters to 1.2 meters. Close friends and trusted colleagues. Most productive team collaboration happens here, close enough to share a screen, far enough to feel safe. The social zone, 1.2 to 3.7 meters. Most formal meetings and presentations happen here. Professional formality with genuine connection. And the public zone, beyond 4 meters. Dialogue is inhibited. The brain shifts from conversation mode to audience mode. People perform. They do not converse. Here is why this matters immediately. When you run a team stand-up in a large room where some people are 8 meters away, you have accidentally created a public zone dynamic. Pull the chairs into a tight circle and you get genuine conversation. Same people, same room, different zone, completely different interaction. Why does personal space violation produce such a powerful automatic response? The answer is neurological. Researchers Daniel Kennedy and Ralph Adolphs studied a patient whose amygdala had been destroyed by a rare disease. She allowed strangers to stand within inches of her face with complete equanimity, confused by the fact that others seemed uncomfortable when she stood equally close to them. Her amygdala damage had removed the mechanism that regulates personal space. Personal space is not a social convention. It has a neurological substrate. When someone enters your personal space uninvited, your body produces a mild version of the same threat response as physical danger. Cortisol release, heightened alertness, narrowed attention. For project managers, this has a direct implication. An open-plan environment that consistently violates personal space norms puts your team in a state of low-grade, chronic ambient stress. And chronic stress degrades exactly the capabilities most valuable in knowledge work: creative thinking, empathy, complex problem-solving, and psychological safety. The environment is actively working against the performance you are trying to produce. Space is one of the most reliable and least consciously recognized indicators of power in any professional setting. Think about a standard rectangular meeting table. The person at the head controls the visual field of every other participant. They are furthest from the door, the least anxious position in the room. This is why the most senior person sits at the head without anyone explicitly deciding they should. The Proxemics signal is so established, it happens automatically. Standing while others are seated registers as authority, immediately legible to everyone in the room. Research by Adam Galinsky found that negotiators who occupied more physical space consistently achieved better outcomes. The spatial expansion activated confidence states that translated directly into negotiation quality. Practical takeaways. Arrive early to choose your position. Sit at the side of the table rather than opposite a client. It shifts the framing from confrontation to collaboration. In difficult one-on-ones, try sitting at 90 degrees rather than directly opposite. The side-by-side arrangement reduces confrontational dynamics before a single word is spoken. Here is one of the most underestimated sources of cross-cultural misunderstanding in global teams. Personal space norms are not universal. They are cultural, and the gap between cultures can be enormous. In many Latin American cultures, professional space zones are significantly smaller than in Northern Europe. Standing closer, touching a colleague's arm, greeting with a brief embrace. These are warmth and trust. Maintaining a Northern European distance in this context does not signal professionalism. It signals coldness. A project manager from the Netherlands joins a team in Sao Paulo. Her Brazilian colleagues stand closer, touch her arm occasionally, greet her warmly. Her instinctive response? Stepping back, maintaining what she considers professional distance, communicates something she never intended. Within 2 weeks, her colleagues have told HR the new project manager seems cold and disengaged. Nothing she said created this impression. Everything she communicated through space did. The practice that helps most is mirroring. Gently matching the spatial preferences of your counterpart builds rapport without any explicit conversation. Your body is communicating. Make sure it is communicating what you intend. The shift to remote and hybrid work has not eliminated Proxemics. It has translated it into a new medium. Stanford researcher Jeremy Bailenson published a landmark analysis in 2021 that reframed Zoom fatigue through a proxemic lens. On a video call, faces fill a screen at a distance corresponding to somewhere between the intimate zone and the inner boundary of the personal zone. Your brain interprets this as someone standing nose to nose with you. and maintains that interpretation for the full duration of the call. The amygdala's proximity alert fires continuously. After 2 hours of back-to-back calls, you have spent those 2 hours in mild, continuous spatial threat activation. That is what the exhaustion is. 3 adjustments make a measurable difference. Sit slightly further from your screen to create proxemic distance. Hide your self-view. The constant mirror creates a social anxiety loop that does not exist in face-to-face conversation. And Beilanson's research found this is one of the highest impact changes you can make. And for hybrid meetings, give virtual participants a screen at roughly human scale. The proxemic differential between appearing as a small tile and appearing at human scale explains why virtual participants consistently feel peripheral, regardless of technology quality. Steve Jobs understood proxemics intuitively when he designed Pixar's campus. He placed all the bathrooms, food, and post boxes in a single central atrium, forcing every employee, animator, writer, and executive to converge in the same social zone space multiple times a day. The creative collisions that characterized Pixar's most innovative period were not accidental. They were an engineered proxemic outcome. The workspace designs that consistently produce the best collaboration give people control over their proxemic environment. A focused booth for deep work, a collaborative area for team problem solving, an informal space for the casual conversation that builds relationships. The open plan office imposes a single proxemic mode on every type of work. Activity-based design does not. For project managers who cannot redesign their building, do your people have access to genuine privacy when they need it? Does the space give them control over their proximity? Those are questions worth asking this week. 5 things to carry from this episode. 1. Proxemics is operating in every meeting, conversation, and workspace you inhabit. Understanding it gives you situational awareness that most leaders never develop. 2. Hall's 4 zones are not just distances. They are psychological states. Arrange a room into the social zone and people converse. Leave them in the public zone and they become an audience. The room arrangement is a decision about interaction quality. 3. Personal space violation activates the amygdala's threat response. A workspace that consistently violates spatial norms keeps your team in chronic low-grade stress, degrading creativity, empathy, and psychological safety. 4. Your personal space norms are cultural, not universal. Mirror rather than judge. 5. Zoom fatigue is partly a proxemic phenomenon. Camera distance, hiding self-view, human-scale screens for hybrid participants. Simple adjustments with measurable impact. Before your next significant meeting, take 30 seconds to think about the room. What proxemic zone does the arrangement create? What does it signal about the relationships between the people in it? Is that the signal you want to send? That 30 seconds might change everything about how the meeting goes. Share this episode with someone who designs spaces, physical or virtual, for teams. It might be the most useful thing you send them this year. The Catalyst continues.